Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Worlds of Wall Street. Hope you're doing fantastically well wherever you are in the world. Guys, we're going to be looking at some energy tokens here. We talk about EWT quite a bit, as you know. We're going to add POWR to this video as well. And a new one we've kind of come across over the last few days, been doing a bit of research on it. So I'm really interested to see how you guys respond to this and think about this in maybe a different way that you have done in the past. So guys, first of all, just a big thank you to all those out there who have subscribed to the channel. Absolutely fantastic. We are pushing already towards that 3,000 mark. Can't believe it. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for the support. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content, and we are very much enjoying engaging with you guys on a regular basis. So guys, hopefully the audio is a bit better in this one, and we've had some technical issues recently working with OBS and a couple of other things as to what's going on here, but this is what we have at our disposal right now. So guys, I'm going to jump into a bit of information around the background of why I'm bringing this to your attention. So we've done a few videos in the past about our favorite energy related tokens. We've spoken about on a multitude of different videos recently about the tokenomics around energy, how we're going into a peer-to-peer mechanism, transitioning from that traditional energy element of just going directly to the grid all the time to something that actually you might have a bit more power, excuse the pun, to yourselves moving forward. Now, there's two aspects of anything at the moment with centralization and decentralization, but what I think is really interesting is the kind of aspects that we've mentioned in the past, as I just said a moment ago, is that aspect of having the power back to you. And what I mean by that is we're going into a world now, guys, where you could have maybe like surplus energy and you could put that back into the grid or send it to someone else, whether it be a neighbor or a friend or whatever it is, and get money or reward for that aspect using the tokenomics principles. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this consistently develops over time. But I think we're in a very interesting point of transition here. We've covered things like the nonsense crisis, particularly here in the UK, of like fuel and energy problems. For me, and I've categorically said this in a number of videos now, I think that's a circus. I think it's a media diversion to integrate and showcase the problem that is in the background of supply chain and energy consumption right now, and actually going into a solution-based aspect of blockchain and tokenomics. And I think the governments will eventually turn around with the energy companies, go, oh, yeah, don't worry, this isn't a problem anymore. We've come up with the elaborate answers. We haven't. The blockchain companies have. But this is the way the world goes, right? They just do things for the best interest in their political house or party or whatever. And we just go along with it, right? Even though in our space right now, in terms of crypto and blockchain, we know what's going on, no doubt about it. But I just wanted to pull out this article here from 2017. So a few years back, and it's really interesting. So thank you to IEEE.org. For this article that you guys did a while back, so by Morgan E. Peck, David Wagman. So hopefully he's still out there. I might reach out to him on Twitter and thank him for this information. So this kind of goes on actually about what we've been talking about for a while now. But hear about the interesting aspects in this article. So go ahead and read this because it's absolutely phenomenal. $30 billion in 2016 around sort of solar or photovoltaic panels. They expected a big, massive sort of rise towards this as by 2025. We'll go into a bit more detail about these facts in a couple of other aspects of some projects that we're looking at towards the end of this video before the charts. But what I found interesting is, like, it's great to see other people have this concept in their minds years ago. And it's all about moving ourselves into a system where blockchain and transactions are able to be produced and utilized across the board through the use of tokenomics. Now, what I'm interested to see is how do we as people in this space continue to be decentralized and move that into the energy sector. Because at the moment, of course, there's energy companies working with the likes of Energy Web, for example, Shell, EDF, and all these guys. They're not going to give up lightly. They're not going to move out of the way all of a sudden. It's impossible. There's a magnitude of billions and billions of dollars in their portfolio through the energy sector and what they're doing moving forward with that. But I'm thinking in the lines of this guy here, in the sense that if you have the money or the ability to get solar panels for your home and a battery for your home to basically keep hold of the energy that you're producing and to power your own home, but then interlacing that through blockchain tokenomics. Now, of course, you've got things like Helium, which is a hotspot mechanism of Web3, basically kind of like the new version of internet, basically on a hotspot peer-to-peer system. Go and check that out, H&T. It's fantastic. Maybe that's a way that can be done in a decentralized way, but then of course you need the aspect of smart contract and know your customer and everything like that, and regulatory aspects to ensure that someone isn't going, oh, there's an energy crisis down the road in the community down the road, I'm going to hike my prices up, because then we're just as bad as the companies, right? These companies that we're trying to replace with this new decentralized system. So we want a fairer and more just system, and could be the answer. But it's really down to the interesting question as to whether this is something that we can work out together to operate a new ecosystem. Why do we rely on the national grid? Because it's the only option we've got, right? And we're lazy as humans to orchestrate our own system. But the fact that now blockchain is available, it's now about knowledge and education. Because actually, why can't I just do it within my own system, right? But of course, at the moment, the infrastructure is gigantic for energy grids, and that's understandable as to why it's not be possible now. But I think, in my opinion, we're on the brink of a transitional period where we might have a choice. We might have a choice finally to be like, actually, yeah, I want to continue down that route, or I want to go and do my own thing and be rewarded in a certain way. And through smart contracts and the confirmations of transactions on blockchain, that hopefully that should actually entail not only the identity perspective, but also the algorithm needed to stop any manipulation or fraudulent activity or anything about hyperinflation of pricing and everything like this. Because you imagine, what happens in winter, the prices increase and stuff like that, and it's like, why? I'm personally with Eon, and they claim that they're 100% sustainable energy resources, and I'm like, well, okay, that's great, but why are you putting my bills up for the winter then? Like, what's going on? Like, it's supply and demand, I get it, but it's like, guys, I've been down the coast, there's several hundreds of thousands of wind turbines in the distance. You're just doing it for profit. There's no doubt in my mind about it. So I'm really interested to see how this is developing over the period of time, and I'm truly in the belief that we are seeing a transition behind closed doors. We are seeing the testing of people's mental strength when it comes to crisis or narratives on the news to scare people and see how they behave, and emphasizing that element of control in the UK, as we covered in a video or two ago. We had this situation of the energy crisis, and all these energy companies disappeared off the face of the earth and then got bought out conveniently, very quickly, by the honourable big companies, the big five or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you're now into place with a company you didn't want to be a part of in the first place. Of course, you can move to another utility company, but to be honest, most of them are either owned by the same company or they're the same kind of aspect of greed and everything anyway, so you can't really win. That's why I'm really open to the decentralization aspect and giving people the authorization and the power to be able to control what they do. And you see here, you can get solar panel kits and everything like this to not necessarily live off grid. I'm not saying go to the woods and live in a caravan or anything, although that is quite a cool idea. But operating your own energy system, and there's a multitude of different prices, different panels, different powers, blah blah blah. But it's like, if you're getting an electric car, the best solution would be to have your own battery system albeit that it might take you a year or two to accumulate the cost back. But I can really care less about that, in all honesty. I'm more interested in like not giving these stupid companies my money anymore, like, and getting the infrastructure in place that actually, if I got surplus energy, I can share it with other people on a peer-to-peer system with a fair, justified currency, tokenomics. And because it's on AI algorithm and blockchain, there is no fluctuation of price that I can manipulate. It's all done on a supply and demand mechanism in a fair way, not dictated to by the company that you're getting off the national grid currently to say, yeah, actually, do you know what? Our shareholders aren't too happy this month. Let's shaft up the price. And do you know how many people die worldwide in winter because of energy issues? It's disgusting. And these people have no morals whatsoever in these companies half the time. But anyway, guys, I want to go on to another topic here. It's quite interesting about Ripple. So Ripple have just invested $44 million in a solar investment company, Nelnet. So Nelnet are very much around what we kind of discussed, and this isn't a new concept. So this is basically utilizing, so let's say you don't have the money or the capacity to put solar panels on your roof. So what you've got to do is go to your national grid. However, the national grid are being lazy now and want to save as much as possible. They're now utilising things like solar farms. So now all the farmers, because the agricultural bill and everything like that, they got not much farming to do anymore, or they haven't been making any money because all the supermarkets have commercialised everything. And Bill Gates has taken, for example, in America, 87% of agricultural land in America, and it's similar over here in the UK. Land is being sold to commercial units, and farmers aren't getting paid the 50 pence, £1 for their bottles of milk anymore. They're getting paid like 1 or 5 pence, or like 2 or 3 cents in American terms, and they're being pleased about it because it's about volume. And then all of a sudden they realise 5-10 years down the line they haven't got enough money to sustain their farm, so they go and sell their land to energy companies who then go and put a load of solar panels in there, or they are fortunate enough to go, yeah, you can rent my land and get finance through that way. So hopefully they win in that aspect. But farming is farming, right? Whether it's through the sun or through farming of food, meats or whatever. So I'm not really fussed about that aspect. But this aspect is like taking that solar farm into the ability of putting it into a local energy supplier, and then us to you, and you would get rewarded for using this kind of community built-in system. But I'm kind of like, well, this is still centralized, this is boring. But Ripple, of course, investing, I'm sort of sat there going, well, okay, I understand the ecosystem of Ripple in terms of its green terminology and this, that and the other, but are Ripple like not secretly, but like slyly entering in here because they can put a tokenomics in place to emphasize this blockchain aspect of energy? Do you not think this is really convenient? Now they're going along the lines at the moment of helping companies be more efficient using blockchain technology and the green aspect, sort of delivering the targets that we've got for Agenda 30. Going down to the document off the UN site, keep going on about this. It exists. It's not a conspiracy theory. You can read it all. It's basically you can plan your next 9 years of your life if you read this thing. They're part of the Crypto Climate Accord, which of course Energy Web are as well, and there's a partnership with Ripple and Energy Web as a kind of knowledge base, if you like, collectively to encourage this aspect of blockchain greenness to industries and financial industries across the world. So they've come into this with these articles basically covering like there's a couple of quotes here about as the adoption of cryptocurrencies and blockchain continues to grow, evident that technology is to underpin the feature. Now, I think they're going along the lines that we need these kind of solar communities to help cryptocurrency develop and be green. But I've got no doubt in my mind that the likes of Ripple are going to be working with EWT to tokenize the entire energy sector. And that's where I have a slight issue, in the sense that we need to make sure it's decentralized, because when it gets centralized, like I've been going on about banks, with all our banks are closing down, we're now on apps, everything could be in a control mechanism here, right? Social scoring, we talked about this with IOTA doing their whole kind of DID, identification and verification, and this is the crazy thing, like you forget play to earn. It's like pay of activities, like anything and everything you do around the world, whether it be a good gesture or something like this, you get rewarded for it. using the algorithm of AI and blockchain, so I can wander around and give you a nice 5 stars as I'm walking past you because you helped me over the road with some plastic bags or whatever, and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like the Black Mirror effect. I've gone on about that before. I'm trying to interlace this, guys, so you kind of understand that this is all linked, right? And if we don't go down a decentralized format, I'm concerned about the energy sector, because it's then like, well, if you don't do as you're told, or you're in a certain behavioral pattern, we'll shut off your energy, because now it's all on blockchain, it's all on AI algorithm and this, that, and the other. And now we can also determine your interactions with the world, your behaviors with the world, purchasing patterns, and this, that, and the other. You haven't done this, you haven't done that, your health passport isn't up to date, you can't travel. All of these things, guys, right? There's a good and a bad side to everything, which is why I'm hoping Energy Web takes the initiative, and we as people get more and more knowledge and education into our minds as to how this can all operate. But I'm really interested about this Ripple movement. And yeah, I do love Ripple, do not get me wrong. I think absolutely phenomenal, giant powerhouse, but I'm concerned about what it's going to be doing in the future. I can't just believe for 1 second that they're just entering $44 million for the sake of it to help this community drive of the cryptocurrency blockchain. No, there's got to be a fundamental reason, surely, behind this. So that's just a theory of mine. It's not true. It's just an opinion. Let us know what you think about that. But yeah, as I mentioned, this is from a year or so ago. XRP, Ledger Foundation, and Ripple Energy Web announced world's first decarbonised blockchain. Now, Energy Web have been going on for years. I think they're slightly older than Ethereum themselves as well. But they're linking together already, guys, in this aspect. Blockchain's electricity use, open source application called EWT. EWT is basically pretty much what we've just discussed here. Zero carbon renewable energy to commercial infrastructure, industrial, everything that you can possibly think of. This application helps simplify the procurement process, increase transparency about available options, remove entry barriers, and reduce various costs associated with matching renewable energy buyers and sellers. So there's loads of application going on behind this. Atlas of procurement options, direct purchase on digital platforms, so buying stocks of energy, which, if I remember correctly, this happened like 10 or so years ago. A lot of people got arrested for it, for carbon stock trading. We're now seem to be doing it all of a sudden again, but in a regulated way, I guess. So very interesting to see how that develops. But yeah, all these guys, Energy Web and Ripple, of course, part of this crypto climate accord. So in relation to a standardization of proof of green, being green mechanism within blockchain technology. So this is all coming together, guys. It's all coming nicely interlaced. Now these guys like Ripple are interlacing themselves with companies that already operate a system, essentially, of a, not necessarily a tokenization, but certainly a reward system and an integrated, interoperable system of energy between farming, utility companies, and the end user, whether that be commercial or domestic, renting, mortgages, whatever, and then generating energy, receive solar credits on your monthly bill, blah, 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 save you money, etc. Now to add blockchain and tokenomics in there, can you guys see what I'm talking about now? Like, it's a whole interlaced system. So, as I said, Energy Web, which we covered multitude of times, I just see this really interesting world opening up. And it's even to the crazy levels, guys. If you've got like an electric car and you'll buy an electric charger and you've gone, do you know what, I've got a surplus battery power here and I could do with some money towards some bills or something, you could go and sell that back onto the system so someone else can use it. That's how crazy this kind of thing is going to happen. And it's already kind of in place, really. And that's what I said about all this circus nonsense with the media. They're already trialing all this stuff, guys. Like, it's just part of the narrative to encourage people to think differently and go, oh, actually, yeah, maybe an electric car is a good idea, which of course it is for the environment and everything, irrespective of, everyone argues like, oh, well, the batteries cost more and they're less efficient, blah, blah, blah. But we have to do something, right? We have to move in a direction. And yes, it's bad, first of all, usually, but we will progress it. Hydrogen is, of course, on my radar as an investment in stock markets and everything. Because I think that's going to be certainly one for the future. Different kind of aspects of energy, especially when it comes to battery powering and whatnot. Of course, if Nikola Tesla was still around, which conveniently disappeared off the face of the earth, didn't he? as he found the infinite energy solution. Of course, the energy companies and whatnot did not appreciate that. But if he was still around, I'm pretty sure by now we would we'd probably be flying around in spaceships and all sorts. But hey ho, never mind. We're still grabbed and controlled since then. So guys, a couple of assets here I want to cover. So that's kind of given like an introduction as to why I'm trying to get you guys to think more about energy sector in general. Power Ledger, POWR on the exchange is another phenomenal project. Energy trading and traceability. So very much similar to what Energy Web are trying to achieve. But also if you look at these two kind of companies, Nelnet versus Power Ledger. Now that's what I'm saying. Power Ledger is, in my opinion, more of a decentralized aspect. Being able to trade energy across multitude of platforms as a retailer or a customer or a company. But also being able to exchange and use power purchase agreements in order to get justification of your buying and selling methods and reward system. So this is what it's about, carbon credits, more transparent. This is already in place, guys. I think Power Ledger is absolutely phenomenal. It's doing gigantic work in Australia right now. And again, link that together, guys. Like Australia shut itself off from the world, and it's almost like it's interlacing all these things as quickly as possible so it can become another domestic powerhouse with economy and everything like this, and show how things are done. But the world's gone mad, hasn't it? Absolutely mad. But if you look through the mist and you follow the money and follow these projects, you see exactly what's going on in the world. It's crazy. I'm not worried or concerned about it anymore. I'm just excited about all these investments I'm making and all these things that are going to take over the world. And I'm just hopefully just do a runner with all this money and go and live on a boat or something. Who knows? But Power Ledger, guys, Power Ledger is available for those that don't know. Binance, KuCoin at the moment, and a couple of others. It's a bit annoying that most of the pairings are BTC and Ethereum at the moment, but hopefully that will change as time goes. Isn't it weird that Power Ledger is trying to be a tokenomics of energy and go down the green route, but it's using Bitcoin and Ethereum as its pairings? I find that quite amusing, but it's a growing project. I'm sure it will develop into other chains as time goes by, but it is its own kind of like blockchain technology anyway, so it's just utilizing the existing bridging of that currently. But I think this is a really interesting project. We've done a video on this already in the past, so go check that out. We'll leave a link at the end of this one, but I just wanted you guys to know what's out there and really start thinking about the future, because I think there's so many financial aspect tokens and crypto assets out there, but actually what about all the other amazing sectors? AI and IoT we cover all the time with IOTA, IoTX, Fetch, Matrix AI and all the other ones we talk about. But energy is a gigantic sector. I'm just going to pull this up actually. So this is off one of our other projects here. This is the one, a new one that we've kind of found recently, eForce, WOZX, worth keeping an eye on, guys. It's currently available on Gate, Bithumb. I think it's on Binance exchanges, Bitcoin exchange as well, and Uniswap. So I'm sure that will develop in time into other projects, but I have got Gate and Bithumb anyway. So I haven't actually purchased any of this yet, but I'm about to. I see the future of this one, but just using their white paper for a second, or from their website, in fact, some really interesting statistics here. So around the market in general, so in the last 10 years, the energy efficiency market has reached a value of $241 billion. Absolutely incredible. 10% growth per annum. And then on the right hand side, global investment must grow by a further $584 billion between now and 2025 to keep in line with the energy efficiency aspect. And I have no idea what needs to be spent to achieve the Agenda 30 goals and the COP26, etc. But we'll see how that development occurs. But this project in particular, eForce, is around kind of energy saving methods. So just reading a couple of bits here. So it allows entities to rapidly be connected with those who are interested in purchasing the energy savings resulting from the implementation of such projects with the use of equity. So it's kind of taking, like, going to the companies and going, how much do you want to save energy? Yeah, brilliant. Do you want to save money? Brilliant. And then rewarding them with the tokenomics that they can either sell those tokens on exchanges for their company, or they can reinvest it into improving energy efficiency even more, or helping towards other projects and other community projects to enforce better sustainability and energy aspect. So I think this is a really interesting project. I think it's very slightly different to Energy Web and POWR, of course, but I think like it's got some legs in it in the sense that it's that encouragement kind of project, and it's got a nice little team behind it that are very passionate and knowledgeable about the sector. They worked in the sector for some time. This guy Steve Wozniak, for example, the co-founder, it's absolutely brilliant background. Go and check him out on LinkedIn and everything, but the background of these guys is phenomenal. And I'm sort of sat there going, okay, I totally get this. Like, it's a great project and incentivization to get people thinking more about energy reduction and rewarding them for the same time with tokenomics that can be used in a multitude of different ways. So that this is definitely one on my radar. I'll do a proper intro video to it maybe next week. But I'm really interested to see how this one develops. I just wanted to put it on everyone's radar. Obviously, it's kind of only, we'll go into charts in a second, but it's not long launched. So it has had a bit of a downward spiral after that launch, as most projects do. But I think not necessarily for short term. I think you might get some gains potentially with some organic growth of markets. But I think for the future, the way the energy sector is going into tokenomics and reward systems, like we see with pay to earn and that sort of thing, but imagine like pay to energize and that sort of thing comes in. I think it's a really good one to think about. But yeah, check out their white paper as well. Loads of information on there as to what they're trying to achieve and what they're trying to do and how they're going to do it. That's definitely of interest to myself and the portfolio for sure. I will be adding this one maybe at the end of this month. I'm not in a gigantic rush, but I'm certainly seeing the potential of this. So really interesting and staking opportunities, mining opportunities, etc. as well. But yeah, moving backwards here, obviously like we just mentioned Power Ledger as well, and EWT, which we cover all the time. But Energy Web is absolutely gigantic, guys. I'm not even joking. This is probably the kind of project that you're going to see partnerships with the likes of Tesla or something very soon. It's an incredible project. It's working with a gigantic amount of corporations in the energy sector already, and governments and commissions, European unions, etc. already. It's way up there. But hopefully, guys, that's given you a bit of an interaction piece on energy. If you have managed to stay with us, we're going to jump into the chart now. Do smash that like button if you're finding this interesting. But for me, guys, let's do this in order. We have, for example, straight away here, EWT on the chart. So since the last video, we've had some really good movement. I've just reallocated this price range here to just showcase to you. So from the 29th of September at this $8 mark, to the most recent marks here around a high today of, I believe, 13.23, a nice 63% increase in that small period of time. So around about 2 weeks really, guys. Now the RSI at the moment is sat around 60, so still room for improvement on the upside. As of today, we've of course seen a bit of a retrace, but we have seen that the last two stepping stone modes here. So I'm not saying we're going to repeat this pattern, but there might be an opportunity to potentially bag some under that possible, just under that $11 mark or nearer that $11 mark as well, just in case. So I have got a few USDT available to bag a few more EWTs at that level if it does come down, but I have got a good amount. I did accumulate a lot down here at the $4 mark, because the previous all-time high, guys, we're around about halfway there really, at $23, around $23.65. So still a bit of movement to go, but I do think, like, I know the fib retracement is usually kind of like a guideline. I do think generally that we could get to well over that $60 mark in these next coming months. It's all about these next moves here. If we can get to December around this mark and start finding some price discovery modes, I think as the narrative of EWT kicks on and more people get interested in it and the moves get bigger, this can shoot up quite quickly into parabolic moves of big movements in terms of next stage activity. So 23, for example, to $35, $36. I think is achievable with a couple stepping stones maybe in between, as we see on the macro here, and the long-term fib retracement. So there's a lot of movement to go. I think in the next 24, 48 hours, if we can get a support mechanism around this 1175 mark, so we're currently sat here as we're recording 1173, so anywhere around that kind of mark, closures over that that period. We have had that already 2 days in a row so far. So maybe another day or two, if we can do that, guys, I think we'll really start pushing again for that $13 mark like we did earlier today. And if we can support at that, then like I said, I think we'll start shooting up to that $14 where we saw previous resistance over here. We've drawn this line in, by the way, because if you remember in a few videos back, we had this yellow one here that we drew back from historic data. It's just a good key indicator point that I stuck in manually to say, like, this is, you know, somewhere where we might see some resistance. Look at that. It's pretty much bang on. I think we went over by like 5 or 6 cents or something. But yeah, it's a good indicator, and I think that's where we'll see another resistance level here around this $14. Once we get support here, I think again it might be a similar movement that we've seen a couple of times already this month when we get to this area as well. So do anticipate that $14 mark to have a bit of resistance as well, in my opinion. But we'll certainly see that hopefully in a week or so's time, whether that'll come into fruition, that theory. But for the short term, guys, like I said, it's all around this area here that we are currently sat at and resided 2 or 3 days. If we can get support here, we can push up. However, if we get rejection or we start getting the volumes kicking lower, I think we could possibly come down to this bang on $11 mark and maybe slightly under with a tail under to just confirm that support mechanism. But there's a couple of other observations here. The MACD down here on the on this section here. Let me just my paintbrush. What on earth is going on there? We are in a bullish momentum still. The intake of volume is still coming in. Like I said, the RSI has obviously had a bit of a drop today, as we've seen in a couple of momentum occasions here. But I think this is on a tail up momentum, to be honest. I'd be surprised if we come any lower than that sort of, you know, $11 or 10.5 cent mark. $10.5 mark, sorry, because of this momentum that we're having. So I would anticipate that we get to that $14 mark maybe by the end of next week. We'll have to see. But it's all looking really positive. 22% up on the week, 12% up on the month, 3 months 134%, absolutely staggering. The 6 months is understandable because we still have the tail off of the drop that we had from that April period down to July. But the year to date, 89% up, absolutely phenomenal. Guys, honestly, I think there's going to be some great short-term gains to be made in the next couple of months or so. But for me, it's the long term. I'm more interested in how the energy sector is going to rise with blockchain. Guys, let us know in the comments below what you think of EWT. But I think this is absolute giant in the making. And we are so early in this project still, even at these prices that they are today. Let's jump into POWR, POWR. So we're using the Binance data here. So we've had a nice little move upwards since this period around the 29th, 30th September. Not as exciting as the EWT one, but what I would emphasize is that we have had growth. That's the main thing. So let's just have a look at where we've been from the 29th of September all the way to that top point. 133%, guys. That's mental. So actually, it's a better performance than EWT in that aspect. It doesn't look like it is, but it is, which is quite amazing. So apologies to POWR for getting that wrong. That's bad on my part. But look at this. So we're looking here currently at trying to get this support around 38 cents. Do you know what? I don't actually hold any POWR tokens. I'm actually going to buy in probably over this weekend. That's for sure. Obviously, I would have liked to have got down here. It's pretty lazy of me. But I'm very interested in this project. Look at that down there. What a lovely opportunity that would have been, around 14, 15 cents here around 20th, 21st July. Missed that boat clearly. But here we go. Previous all-time here up at 70 cents, guys. We've got so much room left to go in these coming months, in my opinion. And to smash through that, I mean, this is suggesting nearly $2. Even, you know, that's incredible movement that we've got coming up from our current position, if that is the case. But yeah, I'd be very, very interested to see if we break that dollar mark. But certainly I do anticipate us getting to the previous all-time high at least. But that would be sensational, wouldn't it? Can you imagine? And even, like I said, even from this point, I'm not fussed about getting it at 40 cents, to be honest. I'm a long-term believer of these kind of energy projects anyway. But I think there's plenty of room there to get some good return, albeit it would have been better to get it at lower regions. But I think that's still acceptable in my mind from these kind of points. So let's see if we can get that support at 38 cents, and I think we can start pushing back up to this 42-cent mark and get some stability there over maybe the next week and a half. But I think we've had some obviously good tail up here with some announcements and everything, but it's clear that this area is of great interest for POWR at the moment. The MACD is slightly narrowing, so just be emphasized here that there might be a slight drop off at some point. So in that instance, I'm just going to draw in an area of interest for myself as an opinion based. I'm just going to go for around, let me just check, to there, and maybe in this kind of area between 33 and 37 cents could be some good options there if we do drop down. As you can see, the volume is tailing off here on the histogram, so it might be potentially that we do switch into a bit of a bearish momentum, not massively, but this intake of 133% is massive. If I just reverse this a second, if I just move that there and down to here, we've had pretty much a 45%. Sometimes you see up to 60% in these kind of moves in a rejection period, but I mean, it's a big drop. That is absolutely massive drop. But if we were to kind of be more realistic here and say that maybe 30% was an opportunity, that does take us down to maybe the 30-cent mark. So that could be another area of interest. So I'm going to actually put a small USDT bag tonight in that area as well, and maybe a dip under the 29 cents just in case. So I'm really interested. I'm going to get a bag personally at this current price, and then I'm going to have a bag ready for these lower areas as well, just in case we do switch over on the MACD. But hopefully we'll have another tail up. As I said, the energy sector is powering forwards, and I think this is going to be of great interest. It's having some great projects and results in Australia right now. We'll see if that continues. RSI has shown that we've still got plenty of room in the tank. It's around that middle region, so it's very much limbo mode. So like I said, it is a bit of a question mark around the next 2-3 days as to where we may move to. We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll try and do an update, guys, on our energy tokens more often as well. 4% up on the week, 5%, 6% down on the month, which is a bit disappointing, even though we've had this nice meteoric rise. 135% up on the 3 months, 6 months we've kind of explained already with EWT, but year to date, 312% up. Absolutely fantastic. It's early days in my opinion for this project, guys. Once this moves out of the Australian market more and more, it is going to fly. And when we see it on more exchanges as well, it's going to be even better. So guys, that's wrapping up POWR. Let us know if you're holding that token in the comments below. And finally, WOZX. So like I said in the video earlier, it's a new project. We haven't got a gigantic amount of data, but I'm interested in what it has to offer in the future, as well as this current development. So I will probably be bagging some of this weekend as well, albeit that yes, it could come down lower, but I just want to get a small initial bag and then see where we are after that. I'm not going to go mad because the last thing I want to do is go into a negative portfolio aspect on this particular token. So I'm going to grab a small bag, see how we go, and buy the dips and any retracements that we see. So as this data gets a bit more efficient, I will add more lines of potential buy and selling opportunities as we go along, but we will do another proper review in the intro video next week for this one and go into a bit of finer detail on charts. I'll try and find a better one perhaps that's using a bit of a longer status of data, but very interested in this one. As I said, 42 cents currently at the moment. Good couple of days so far, but let's see where it goes in the intro video when we do that next week. So guys, that kind of wraps up the energy video. Longer than I thought it would be, but I just want to emphasize some really key points about this sector, and hopefully you guys have learned a bit and have a different perspective on the energy aspect in terms of tokenomics and crypto blockchain. Guys, we'll wrap that there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you and all these energy tokens in the next video. Goodbye.